I was at my desk in sweatpants, half done fixing a broken donation button on the Veterans Center website when the knocking started again. 3 quick hits, then one more, like whoever was outside had almost talked themselves out of it. I opened the door and found Anna standing under the porch light with rain running off her hair and down the sleeves of her gray coat. She had her phone in one hand and her car keys in the other, but she looked like she had forgotten what either one was for. "Michael," she said, and my name came out flat, like she had used up all the air getting to my house. "Anna, what happened?" "My dad collapsed." She swallowed and looked past me at the floor inside my entryway. "They took him to St. Mary's. I can't drive." I tried. I got 2 blocks and pulled over. I stepped back right away. "Come in. I'll get my keys." She didn't move at first. That was the strange part. Anna was always moving when I saw her at the center, carrying boxes, checking on her father, handing me old photos for the memorial page like she had a list in her head and didn't need anyone slowing her down. We weren't close. Not really. I knew her father, Mr. Renner, from the small veterans organization outside Portland where I volunteered sometimes. I fixed the website, made flyers, helped older guys reset passwords they had written on sticky notes, and then lost. Once I spent 40 minutes showing Mr. Renner how to make his phone stop reading every text out loud. Anna had stood nearby, arms folded, pretending not to smile while he blamed the phone for having opinions. That was the kind of connection we had. Enough that she knew I would answer the door. Enough that I knew this wasn't normal. "Anna," I said gently, "come inside before you freeze." She stepped in, dripping water onto the mat. I grabbed my jacket and keys from the hook, then locked the door behind us. She followed me to my car without saying anything. The drive started quiet except for the wipers slapping back and forth. The streets were slick, and the traffic lights looked smeared through the windshield. Anna sat with her phone gripped in both hands, staring down at the dark screen. "Did they say anything?" I asked. "Not really. Just that he was awake when they loaded him in. Then they said they'd call." She pressed her fingers against her mouth. "They called, but I missed it because I was trying to turn around, and then I called back, and they put me on hold." Her voice got faster with every word. "Okay," I said. "Put your feet flat." She looked at me. "Both feet. Flat on the floor. Then breathe in through your nose, slow." "I'm fine. I know. Do it anyway." She gave me a look, the kind that said she hated being managed, but she did it. Feet down, one hand on her knee. She pulled in a shaky breath. "I'm not going to tell you everything is okay," I said. "I don't know that. But we're getting there. I'm driving. You don't have to do that part." Her eyes stayed on the road. After a few seconds, she nodded once. At the hospital entrance, I pulled up under the covered drop-off. She had her seatbelt off before the car stopped. I parked fast and found her inside at the desk, standing in front of a nurse who was asking simple questions that suddenly weren't simple at all. "Date of birth?" the nurse asked. Anna blinked. "I know it." The nurse waited. "I know it," Anna said again, quieter this time. I stepped beside her, not too close. "Is it in your phone? Contacts maybe?" She handed it to me without looking. Her lock screen was a picture of her father sitting on a folding chair at the center picnic, wearing his old cap and holding a paper plate like he didn't trust it. "What's your code?" I asked. She told me. Her voice shook on the last number. I found her father's contact, then a note labeled Dad Medical. Date of birth, medications, doctor's office, insurance number, emergency contacts. All typed neatly, probably by Anna on some normal day when being prepared had felt like control. I read the answers out, and she repeated them to the nurse like she needed her own voice to make them real. When the nurse asked who should be contacted, Anna stared at the counter. "Me," she said. "Just me." The nurse gave her a wristband and pointed us toward a waiting area with bright lights and chairs that looked designed to keep people awake. Anna sat down, stood back up, then sat again. I got coffee from a machine that made it too hot and too bitter, and she held the cup without drinking it. After a while, a nurse came through the double doors and called her name. "Family only right now," the nurse said, looking at me. Anna turned toward me. She didn't ask out loud, but it was all over her face. "Don't go. Don't make me come back to an empty chair." "I'll stay right here," I said. "I'm not leaving." She held my eyes for half a second, then followed the nurse through. I sat there with my wet shoes planted on the hospital floor, watching the doors close behind her. My phone buzzed with an email from the center about the donation page. I ignored it. When Anna came back 20 minutes later, her face had changed. Not worse exactly. Just tighter. He's stable, she said. For now, they're running more tests. That's something. Yeah. She looked up at the lights like they were making a sound only she could hear. Can we get out of here for 5 minutes? So we went back to my car. I drove around the hospital loop twice, then out past the main road where the lights thinned and the rain softened against the roof. Anna leaned her head back against the seat. My husband passed 3 years ago, she said suddenly. I didn't answer right away. Afterward, everybody had a plan for me. What I should do, where I should live, when I should clear out his clothes, when I should start acting normal again. She rubbed her thumb over the edge of her phone. They all meant well. That was the worst part. It made it harder to be angry. I kept driving. I hate when people look at me like I'm something cracked, she said. Like they're waiting for me to fall apart so they can feel useful. I won't do that. She turned her head toward me. You don't know that. No, I said. I don't. But I can try. We stopped at a red light. Rain moved over the windshield in thin lines. Anna looked smaller in the passenger seat than she ever had at the center, but not weak. Just tired from holding herself upright for too long. If I call again, she said, answer. Even if I don't know what to say? I will. She nodded, then looked back toward the hospital lights. Okay, she whispered. Take me back. 3 days after that night at the hospital, Anna came back to my house. This time it wasn't raining. That almost made it worse. The porch was dry, the street was quiet, and the sky had that pale gray look Portland gets when the weather can't decide what it wants to be. I had just made coffee and was staring at an unfinished flyer for the Veterans Center pancake breakfast when I heard one knock. Just one. I opened the door, and Anna was standing there in the same gray coat, but buttoned wrong. Her hair was tied back, loose strands around her face, and she had a large brown envelope tucked under one arm. My dad's gone, she said. There was no build-up, no soft entry into it. Just those words, dropped between us like something too heavy to hold. I stepped aside. Come in. She walked into my living room and stopped near the couch like she had forgotten why rooms had furniture. I shut the door behind her, then stood there with my hand still on the knob for a second because I didn't know what to do with my own body. Do you want coffee? I asked. No. Then she looked at the mug in my hand. Maybe. I don't know. I went to the kitchen and poured her one anyway. When I came back, she was sitting on the edge of the couch with the envelope on her lap, both hands flat on top of it. The hospital gave me his things, she said. Wallet, watch, reading glasses. His cap. She swallowed. This was in the bag. It has my name on it. I looked at the envelope. Her name was written in block letters across the front. Anna. Not sweetheart. Not daughter. Just Anna. Clear and steady. You haven't opened it? She shook her head. I carried it from the hospital to the car. Then from the car to my kitchen. Then I stood there for almost an hour looking at it like an idiot. You're not an idiot. I know that, she snapped, then closed her eyes. Sorry. It's okay. No, it isn't. I came here because I can't open a piece of paper by myself. You came here because it matters. That made her quiet. I sat in the chair across from her, not beside her. She noticed. I saw it in the way her shoulders lowered just a little. Anna didn't want someone hovering over her, and I was starting to understand that staying close didn't always mean moving closer. She slid a finger under the flap and opened the envelope carefully, like she was afraid the paper might fall apart. Inside was one sheet, folded twice. She unfolded it and stared at the first line. Her mouth tightened. Can you read it? She asked. Out loud. No, just with me. So I moved to the other end of the couch, leaving space between us, and read over the page while she held it. It was short, practical, exactly like Mr. Renner. He wanted a military burial arranged through the proper Veterans Channel. He did not want a large family event. He did not want a church full of people telling old stories they had polished up for an audience. He did not want speeches from relatives who called twice a year and acted close when other people were watching. There was a name at the bottom. Hank Rivers. Unit friend. He knows. Then one last line. Do not let anyone argue you out of what I already decided. Anna read that line 3 times. I could see her eyes moving back over it. He planned this, she said. Looks like it. He never told me. Maybe he thought telling you would make it harder. She stood so fast the coffee almost tipped off the table. That is exactly like him. Just hand me a job after he's already gone. Here, Anna, handle this too. Make the calls, find the forms, tell the family no, be the bad guy. Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. She walked to my window and stood with her arms wrapped around herself, staring out at the street. He knew Rachel would do this, she said. Do what? As if her name had pulled the call through the air, Anna's phone started buzzing on my coffee table. The screen lit up. Rachel. Anna looked at it like it was a wasp. You don't have to answer right now, I said. Yes, I do. She picked it up and tapped the screen. Hi. I could hear Rachel even though the phone wasn't on speaker. A fast, bright voice, already moving. Anna's face went blank. No, I haven't called the funeral home yet. Yes, I know people need to be told. Rachel, wait. She closed her eyes. There's a letter. The voice on the other end got louder. No, it's clear, Anna said. He wrote what he wanted. Another pause. Anna's fingers tightened around the phone. I am not misreading it. I stood up but stayed by the chair. She didn't need me acting like a guard dog in my own living room. Rachel, Anna said, slower now. He doesn't want a big service. He wants the Veterans Office to help arrange it. He listed a man named Hank Rivers. Rachel talked for a long time. Anna listened, and with every second, I watched her get pulled backward into some old familiar place. Finally, she said, I'll call you later, and ended it before Rachel could finish. The phone stayed in Anna's hand. Her face had gone pale again. She says grief makes people grab onto one sentence and build a whole plan around it, Anna said. She says Dad was old school and probably didn't mean it so literally. She says people expect a proper service. What do you think? I think he wrote my name on the envelope. She looked down at the letter. I think he knew exactly what he meant. Then that's your answer. She laughed once, without humor. You say that like answers stop people. No, but they help you stand still when people start pushing. She looked at me then, really looked, and I felt the strange weight of being trusted before I had earned it fully. I can't do this with her standing in my kitchen, she said. She'll bring folders. She'll call relatives while I'm still reading the letter. She'll say she's helping, and everyone will thank her because she sounds organized. I thought about the center, about the Veterans Memorial Board Mr. Renner used to stand in front of, pretending he wasn't checking whether anyone had spelled the names right. I thought about the old coastal memorial he once mentioned after a meeting, how he said the air out there made him feel like he could hear himself think. What if you got one night away? I asked. Anna frowned. Away where? The coast. Near that Veterans Memorial he talked about. You can call the Veterans Office from there. The funeral director. Hank. Anyone you need. Not to run away. Just to get enough space to make the calls without someone leaning over your shoulder. She stared at me like she was trying to find the bad idea hidden inside the good one. With you? She asked. Only if you want. I can drive. I can write down numbers. I can keep quiet. This is not a vacation. I know. 2 rooms. Of course. No romantic mess because I cried in your car and showed up at your house with a letter. Anna, I know. She held my eyes for a long second, then looked away first. I'm serious, she said, but her voice was softer. So am I. By late afternoon, she had packed one small bag. I had printed 3 copies of the letter because she asked me to, and put them in a folder with a pen, sticky notes, and the number for the Veterans Office. When we got in my car, she placed the original envelope flat on her lap and rested both hands over it. Rachel called twice before we reached the highway. Anna watched the screen light up, then fade. Not yet, she said. I turned the wipers on as a light rain started again, and we drove west toward the coast with her father's last request sitting between us, quiet but impossible to ignore. By the time we reached the coast, the rain had turned sideways. The town was small enough that the main street looked like it had been built around bad weather. A diner with fogged windows. A bait shop closed for the evening. A row of motel rooms facing the road. Each door painted the same chipped blue. Anna looked out the passenger window and said, This is exactly the kind of place my dad would pretend not to like. Why pretend? He liked rough edges. But if you said that to him, he'd call it nonsense and complain about the parking. I pulled into the motel lot and left the engine running for a second. The ocean wasn't visible from there, but I could hear it somewhere beyond the buildings, low and constant under the wind. At the front desk, Anna did the talking. 2 rooms. 1 night. She said it clearly, like she wanted the woman behind the counter and me and maybe herself to hear it. I handed over my card because Anna's hands were full with the folder and the envelope, but she immediately said, I'm paying you back. I know. I mean it. I know that too. Our rooms were next to each other. She unlocked hers, stepped inside, and stood there looking at the bed, the small table, the lamp with a crooked shade. Then she turned back to me. Can you come in for the calls? Yeah. But don't sit too close. I won't. The room smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. Anna put her father's letter on the table and smoothed it with both palms. I sat on the far chair by the window with my notebook open. She sat on the edge of the bed with her phone in her hand. The first call was the veteran's office. She was steady at the beginning, giving her father's name, dates, service details from the notes she had kept in her phone. Then they asked for documents she didn't have with her, and I saw her jaw tighten. They're at my house, she said. In the blue file box. Unless Rachel moved it. I wrote down exactly what they needed. Discharge papers. Proof of service. Funeral director contact. Preferred cemetery. A list that sounded cold unless you were the person trying to build one last promise out of it. The second call was to a funeral director the veteran's office suggested. Anna paced while she talked, one hand pressed against her ribs, the other holding the phone so tightly her knuckles went pale. She didn't ask me what to say. She just looked at me once when the director gave her a number, and I wrote it down. The third call was hospital paperwork. That one made her angrier than sad. There were forms, release questions, office hours, a person who kept saying next of kin in the same empty voice. I am his daughter, Anna said. I understand what next of kin means. I looked down at the notebook and kept writing, because watching her fight through it felt too private. After that, she called Hank Rivers. It went to voicemail. Anna stood in the middle of the room while the recorded voice played. When the beep came, she almost hung up, then forced herself to speak. Mr. Rivers, this is Anna Renner. My father was Robert. He left your name in a letter about his burial. I'm sorry to call like this. I just need to know if you can confirm what he wanted. She stopped there. For a second I thought she had lost the words. Then she added, please call me back when you can. She ended the call and sat down hard on the bed. That was awful. You did it. I hate that sentence. Which one? You did it. People say it like the doing makes it less awful. I closed the notebook. Fair. She looked over at me, and after a moment, the corner of her mouth moved a little. Not a smile exactly. More like she had decided not to be mad at me. We ate dinner from the diner in the motel room because the wind was too sharp and Anna didn't want to sit under bright lights with strangers around. She had soup and half a grilled cheese. I had a burger I barely tasted. Every few minutes, she checked her phone. At 8:43, Hank called back. Anna stared at the screen until the third ring. Answer it, I said quietly. She did, and put it on speaker after asking him. Hank's voice was older, rough, careful. I knew your dad, he said. Not just knew him. I trusted him. Anna closed her eyes. Hank didn't rush. He said her father had called him 2 months earlier. Said he had papers in order. Said he did not want a big family production. Said he wanted the veterans channel handled cleanly and quietly, with his daughter protected from people who meant well but talked too loud. Anna covered her mouth. He said that, she asked. He said you try to carry it all alone, Hank replied. He said you were good at that, and he hated that you had to be. She bent forward, elbows on her knees, phone in both hands. Hank gave her the details he knew. The unit information. A contact who could confirm service records. A man at the local post who still remembered her father. I wrote everything down, making sure each number was clear. Before he hung up, Hank said, your dad meant every word of that letter. Don't let anybody make you feel unkind for honoring him. Anna thanked him, but her voice barely held. When the call ended, the room went quiet except for the heater clicking under the window. She didn't fall apart in some loud way. She just sat there, shoulders shaking, trying to breathe without making noise. I stayed in my chair at first because she hadn't asked me to move. Then she looked up. Can you sit here? I moved to the bed, leaving a little space. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against my shoulder. That was it. No speech. No big scene. Just the weight of her, careful and tired, letting herself rest against another person for 1 minute. I'm so tired, she said. I know. I don't want to only be strong when something terrible happens. You shouldn't have to be. She breathed out, shaky and warm through my shirt. Then she sat back and wiped her face with both hands. A little later, we walked toward the water with coffee from the diner. The rain had eased, but the wind still pushed at us hard enough that Anna had to hold her coat closed. The ocean was dark, restless, and loud. There was a small veterans memorial near the edge of the parking area, flags snapping in the wind, names carved into stone under a weak light. Anna stood in front of it with her coffee untouched. "I don't want you to be the person I call only when life breaks," she said. I looked at her, but she kept her eyes on the memorial. "I don't know what else this is," she said. "I don't even know if I'm ready to know. But I don't want to turn you into an emergency tool and then feel strange when the emergency ends." My hands tightened around my cup. "I usually disappear when I can't fix something," I said. She looked at me then. "I get polite," I continued. "Useful. Then I back away before anyone notices I don't know what to do next. It feels safer. And with me. With you, I don't want to do that." She watched me for a long second. Then she stepped closer and rested her head against my shoulder again, right there by the memorial with the wind pulling at her hair. I almost turned toward her. She almost lifted her face. But neither of us pushed it. My phone buzzed with a weather alert. Storm warning. Bad roads inland until morning. I showed her the screen. Anna looked back toward the dark highway, then at the folder tucked under my arm. "Morning then," she said. "We go back in the morning." "Okay." "And when we do," she added, her voice steadier than it had been all day, "I'm not letting Rachel or anyone else speak over me." I nodded. The ocean kept moving in the dark, and for once Anna didn't look like she was asking permission to stand where she already belonged. We got back just before noon, and Rachel's car was already in Anna's driveway. Anna didn't say anything at first. She just sat in my passenger seat with the folder on her lap and looked through the windshield at the blue sedan parked too close to the porch steps. "She has a key?" I asked. "She had one for checking on Dad. Do you want me to wait out here?" Anna turned toward me like the question bothered her, then realized I was actually asking. "No," she said. "Come in. But let me talk." "Of course." She took one breath, picked up the folder, and got out. Rachel opened the front door before we reached the porch. She was in jeans, a cream sweater, and the kind of clean white sneakers that made me aware of the mud on my shoes. Her hair was pulled back tight, and she had her phone in one hand, already lit up with some list or message thread. "There you are," she said, then her eyes moved to me. "And there he is." Anna stopped at the bottom step. "Good morning, Rachel." "Is it?" Rachel looked between us. "I called you all night. I texted you that I was safe. You said you were at the coast. That is not an explanation. It wasn't meant to be one." Rachel blinked, not used to Anna answering like that. I stood one step behind, holding my overnight bag and the notebook, feeling like an extra piece of furniture someone might trip over. Rachel pointed at me with her phone. "Why does Michael know more than I do?" "He doesn't," Anna said. "He knows what I asked him to help me write down." "He went with you?" "Yes." "After your father passed?" "Yes." "That doesn't look strange to you?" Anna looked tired. She had barely slept, and I could see it in her face. But she wasn't folding. "It looks like I asked someone I trust to drive me and sit with me while I made hard calls," she said. "Michael did not take over. He did not make choices for me. He stayed because I asked him to stay." Rachel's mouth opened, then closed. I expected her to turn on me, and she did. "And you thought this was appropriate?" "No," Anna said before I could answer. "You're not asking him. You're asking me." That shut the porch down for a second. Even the neighbor across the street, who had been pretending to pull weeds near her mailbox, looked up. Rachel lowered her voice. "Anna, people are worried. People are always worried when they don't get to control the story. That is not fair." "No," Anna said. "It probably isn't. But I'm saying it anyway." She walked past Rachel into the house. I followed after wiping my shoes hard on the mat. The house felt different without Mr. Renner in it. His jacket still hung on a chair by the kitchen. A stack of mail sat unopened by the toaster. A pair of reading glasses rested beside a crossword book, like he had stepped away and would complain if anyone moved them. Rachel had already taken over the kitchen table. There were sticky notes, a legal pad, 2 pens, and a printed list of relatives. She had been busy. Anna saw the papers and stopped. "I started calling people," Rachel said carefully. "Not everyone, just the ones who needed to know." Anna nodded once. "Thank you." Rachel softened a little. "I'm trying to help." "I know. Then let me help. We need a proper service. People need a place to gather. Your dad knew more people than you think. There are expectations." Anna set the folder on the table. "My dad wrote what he wanted." Rachel sighed. "Anna." "No. Read it." She pulled out the letter and placed it in front of her. Rachel looked at it, but didn't pick it up right away. I stood near the doorway, wishing there was a corner I could disappear into without actually leaving. Finally, Rachel read it. At first, her face stayed firm, like she was preparing her argument while her eyes moved over the lines. Then something shifted when she reached the part about no big family show. Her lips pressed together. He was stubborn, she said. Yes. He might have written this on a bad day. Hank said he planned it 2 months ago, Anna replied. He called him. He confirmed everything. I spoke to the veterans office. I spoke to the funeral director. I have names, numbers, and next steps. Rachel looked at the notebook in my hand. Anna held out her palm, and I gave it to her. She opened it to the pages from the motel, turned it around, and slid it across the table. This is what needs to happen, Anna said. Not because I'm confused. Not because Michael talked me into something. Because Dad chose it. Rachel read the notes. Her shoulders dropped slowly, not all at once. I just don't want you alone in it, she said. I'm not asking to be alone, Anna said. I'm asking not to be run over. Write in the comments. Was Anna right to push Rachel back and honor her father's letter exactly? Or should she have allowed the family to make it a bigger service for everyone's grief? Rachel looked hurt then, and for the first time I saw the fear underneath all her organizing. She wasn't trying to steal Anna's grief. She was trying to outrun her own. I don't know what else to do, Rachel said. Anna's voice changed. It got softer, but not weaker. You can call the extended relatives. Tell them the arrangements are being handled. Tell them we'll share details when they're final. And if anyone wants to argue, they can talk to you first, not me. Rachel stared at her. So I'm the wall? For once, Anna said, yes. Be the wall, not the bulldozer. I looked down so Rachel wouldn't catch me, almost smiling. For a second, I thought Rachel might snap back. Instead, she sat down and picked up a pen. Fine, she said. But Aunt Marcy is going to act like I personally offended her. You'll survive. I always do, Rachel muttered. Anna sat across from her, and the two of them started sorting through the list. Not easily. Not perfectly. Rachel still asked too many questions. Anna still had to say no 3 different times. But the shape of it changed. Rachel stopped reaching for the wheel every minute, and Anna stopped bracing like she expected to be dragged behind the car. I made coffee because it was the only useful thing left to do. Around 4, after the veterans office had called back and the funeral director had confirmed the next appointment, Rachel left with half the relative list and a promise that sounded almost like surrender. At the door, she looked at me. Take care of her, she said. Anna stepped in before I could answer. No. Help me when I ask. That's the rule. Rachel rolled her eyes, but there was no bite in it. Fine. Follow her rules. I plan to, I said. After Rachel drove off, the house went quiet in a way that felt heavy, but not empty. Anna stood by the front window, watching the street. I need to ask you something practical, she said. Okay. She went to the little bowl near the door, moved aside a grocery store receipt and a loose button, and took out a spare key. My mail is going to pile up. There are documents here I might need while I'm at meetings. There may be errands. I may forget something important and call you from a parking lot sounding rude. She held the key out. This isn't some grand thing, she said. It's not a movie moment. It's a key because I need help, and I trust you not to make that weird. I looked at the key in her palm before I took it. It felt heavier than it should have. I'll only use it when you ask. I know. That was the part that got me. Not the key. Not the house. The way she said I know. Later, after the last call of the day was done, we took coffee out to the porch. The air had cooled, and the clouds were breaking apart over the roofs. Anna sat on the top step, and I sat beside her with enough space between us that it still felt like a choice when her shoulder touched mine. Across the street, the neighbor with the mailbox weeds looked over again. Anna noticed. This time she didn't move away. People are going to have opinions, she said. Probably. Rachel will have 3 by breakfast. Only 3. Anna let out a tired laugh, small but real. Then she grew quiet, looking down into her coffee. I spent 3 years acting like every person watching me had a vote, she said. After my husband passed, everyone had a comment. Too quiet, too busy, too thin, too cold, too ready, not ready enough. I got so used to hiding normal things that I forgot I was allowed to want them. I didn't answer. I didn't want to step on it. She turned her head toward me. I don't want you in my life only as the man I call when everything breaks. I don't want that either. I want to see what happens when it's regular. Groceries. Bad coffee. My dad's mail. The center asking you to fix the same website button again. Rachel pretending she isn't checking on us. That button really does break a lot. I'm serious. I know. I looked at the key on my ring, then back at her. We can start with breakfast tomorrow. Anna watched me for a second. Breakfast is normal. That's the idea. She leaned her shoulder a little more firmly into mine, not hiding it when the neighbor looked over again. Okay, she said. Breakfast tomorrow. We sat there until the coffee cooled, with the folder inside on the kitchen table, the calls made, the next steps written down, and the spare key resting against my leg. Nothing was fixed. Not really. But I didn't leave. And for the first time since Anna had knocked on my door in the rain, staying didn't feel like waiting for the next emergency. It felt like the beginning of a normal day.